Tuesday evening. You will notice that there was no filming on Monday, and there has been no filming during the day today. That is because yesterday I was travelling back from Scotland, and today has been the first day back, having had the small mini break, and I had a full day of home visits. Things are challenging at the moment. Challenging in a kind of unique way, I guess. The challenges that I face at the moment is, first, home visits. They are great. They're great for business. But at the moment, with me doing them, it's taking me away from the day-to-day oversight of how I grow and develop the business. And that is a real challenge at the moment because we are getting really, really busy with the home visits, and to turn it away now would be silly. But we don't have enough staff in place to be able to cover the demand of them home visits. So it would be, again, silly of me not to go ahead and do it. So I have that trouble there. There are also other things within the business which are really, really challenging at the moment, more from the financial pressures. And by that, what I mean is we are doing very, very well as a business. There's no denying that. And when you look at our financial numbers from the outside, you'd think, wow, that's fantastic. That's great. The turnover is great, etc. But where the drive to keep growing and building this business, the investment into either staff or branding or marketing or whatever it may be is high, comes at a very high cost. And I'm in this really, really difficult moment where the numbers, the investment that we're making is actually almost, I wouldn't say operating at a loss, that would be a silly thing to say, but it is not as healthy as it could be if we were to do things in different ways. And that's the thing that I need to keep reflecting upon, keep looking at how I measure what success looks like, and also try not to impose that onto the other team members, which is difficult because when I make decisions which are for the best interest of the business, having analysed lots and lots of data, the decision that gets made isn't always the one that feels like it's in everyone's best interest, whereas it is in the company's best interest. And trying to weigh up that kind of challenge is, this is going to sound silly, very challenging. And that has been a lot of what today's been about. I spent a long time this morning kind of going through where we're at as a business, what changes we may need to make, especially in the short term. And then obviously delivering that message to the rest of the team at the appropriate time. And when is the appropriate time? When is anybody happy to hear? Bad news would be an exaggeration, but certainly news that affects their life in a way that might make it slightly more challenging. But challenging is in the demands are higher on what we need to do. And there's not many people out there who would accept greater challenge in their life when certain life or certain things are going a certain way. But those are the beauties of running your own business, and I need to just get on with it and deal with it. But that was the update for this week. In other news, we are continuing with our observations throughout the week of everybody. And observation sounds the wrong way. We're trying to do really, really good sharing of our clinical practice so that we can each take good tips from each other and develop our own skill sets. So we've got that continuing this week. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for feedback for staff as the week goes on. And yeah, I also need to start working out what I want all this structure to look like and how best to go about achieving what the desired outcome is of where we should be going as a business. Wednesday afternoon, I've just left our Barnet clinic. I had a busy morning with meetings. I met with our clinic manager, Monica, who heads up our Barnet and Winchmore Hill site. We were just talking about what the future looks like for how we intend to continue to grow this business. We've got some changes which are coming up in the coming weeks with regards to members of staff who are leaving, not because they are unhappy, I must say, but because they're going on to other things. One's leaving to go to Australia, one's leaving to go to Portugal, and yeah, they've been with us for a period of time, but that brings about changes that are needed to happen internally in order to us to continue with the development side of it. And part of the conversation I was having with Monica is about the challenges that we face as a business. The more we grow, the bigger we become, the more those challenges present themselves. And Monica has grown with this business from the start, and seeing where we were at the very beginning to where we are now. And the pressures, unfortunately, they do ramp up, and I have to be conscious and aware that not everybody asked for this growth. The growth happened as they were within it, and I need to be respectful to the fact that it may not meet what their thoughts were on everything, or what they believed may be happening at this stage of the business and things like that. So yeah, I really need to consider that and bear that in mind when it comes to the decisions that people make within the business. So had that meeting. I then went and had a meeting with James, who does our marketing, and he was looking at the different type of newsletters that we can use and how we kind of sync and automate stuff. And I'm really keen to make sure that we have as many automated features within the business as possible, as opposed to the manual labor of typing things out and uploading Excel sheets and things like that. It just takes too much time, and that time can be better served on other things. So yeah, trying to find ways that we can create that automation is really, really important at the moment. That also comes back to the way that our clinicians work, and we're moving to a different platform which will allow and enable people to be able to do their notes much quicker, automatically upload and sync, and therefore saving that time which is spent on admin, meaning that they have hopefully a better work-life balance, because the hard work is done in the background for them by the AI automated system. So yeah, it was 3 hours or so of meetings, all very, very worthwhile, and I know which are going to have positive impacts in the long term. But yeah, just got to keep moving forwards and driving things home, as they say. Later on, I managed to set up a link with a local cricket club. So I'm going to be going up there and providing some physiotherapy for them and helping out their team players. It's towards the back end of the season, to be fair, but this is usually the time that most of them injuries occur. So yeah, I'll be doing that tonight. I'm going to be going in, having a meeting with Gemma now, looking at some of the operations and the analysis that we need to produce for our clinicians to enable them to be successful. And yeah, I will keep you updated with how the day goes. So, just finished up my networking event down here at Totteridge Mill Hillians Cricket Club. This is an invite I received from the club captain here, who is running the professional team, and he asked me to come down and do some physio with the team that he has, and super interested to see the number of injuries they have, and also the fact that they're playing at professional level and they haven't yet been seen by anyone. So it was good to see that, and now I'm going to head back home, get some dinner. Thursday morning, 9:50 a.m. Yesterday I was down at a local cricket club doing the physiotherapy services for them. I didn't give much of an update yesterday. I was tired and looking forward to coming home. But the team, they're a professional team, and it is crazy to know how little input they have from physiotherapy and the injuries that they're carrying and the pain that they're playing in. So just try and educate them on what is worthwhile investing their time into was interesting. There was one guy who, if he hasn't got a meniscus tear in his knee, then I would be shocked. But he is playing through pain. He's taking ibuprofen, trying to manage it, but trying to get him to go and have a scan. He was really reluctant to do it. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit about how reluctant people are to go and get further investigations into what's happening, when it would give them a great insight into how we can manage and treat it. But so yeah, that was yesterday. So I was doing that piece of networking and growing our relationships and partnerships with those in the area. Today, I am about to send some letters out to some of the local GP surgeries and pharmacies around us. We've got really good connections at the moment with them, and this here is to some who I know and some who I don't know, but we are going to be going in to work with them a little bit more closely on how they assess, diagnose, and what advice they give with certain injuries. The main reason for this, it backs up what happened yesterday with the player with the meniscal tear, that he went to see his GP and the recommendation for them was just to rest. They weren't sure on what was going on with it. And without understanding that he is effectively a pro athlete. And that sounds crazy because in cricket, the pro levels don't necessarily get the same treatment as they do in the football world. And it was surprising not surprising that the GP advice was to rest because they didn't know what was going on. So their thinking was, well, if you just rest it, it will stop hurting. But yeah, we want to make sure that we're going into the GP practices to upskill their services, or upskill their knowledge, I should say, to be able to provide better information to the patients. And if they aren't able to diagnose what it is, then they know they can send them to us who would be able to help them diagnose. So it's really important that we provide good healthcare. And this whole thing about, well, if they go and see the GP for free, will they be willing to come and pay privately? It needs to be squashed, because it just comes down to what is the best outcome for this patient and what gives them the longevity in their life cycle. Because if this patient continues to play with a meniscal tear, it is more or less guaranteed he's going to end up with arthritis if he keeps pushing through this pain. And having that arthritis leads to a higher risk of things like knee replacements. Knee replacements lead to more chances of less activity in later life, and less activity leads to further complications with more comorbidities. Sounds like a political rant that I'm saying there, but it is just the truth and the reality of what happens. And it's our job as physios to make sure that the public are aware of this. And we get the chance to do this within a private setting because we get good time with patients. But in GP practice, they get 9 minutes on average for an appointment. So there are big struggles with being able to deliver relevant information, and sometimes the easy thing is just to say rest it. So we want to be able to go in and tell them what they can be doing better in order to improve the outcomes for patients. So that's the purpose of these letters. I'm going to go out and start getting them delivered right now. Thursday afternoon, just got back in the car. I've been up at our Whetstone clinic. I was meeting with Charles, who's one of our physios there. We're doing some CPD, which was just a follow-up on what we did from last week. So we did some observations of people to kind of give feedback and support where needed, but not in a negative way, just kind of looking at how they're getting on and where we can kind of share knowledge amongst ourselves in order to raise the outcomes for our patients. And it was a really good session. I'm hoping that he really enjoyed it as well, but you'd obviously have to ask him. But it's good to kind of talk about the different aspects of physiotherapy which may sometimes go unnoticed. For example, the patient we're talking about, they had an Achilles injury, and listening to kind of what one physio sees versus what another physio sees and be able to share our reasoning behind it was really interesting. And certainly throughout my career, I found that I need to look way beyond where the actual source of pain is. There's a famous saying which is, where the pain is, the problem is often not. And in this particular case with this patient, I think that yes, their pain is in one element or one area of the body, but certainly where the problem exists from is not that close to where the initial site of pain is. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's not right to talk about patients' individual problems and what they're suffering from. But in this particular case, I think that we were looking at where we should be looking differently to where the current view is at the moment. And that current view is exactly where the pain source is, but actually we need to look at the different areas. So that was quite good to go through that with him. I'm going to head back now. I've got some admin work to do. I've just sent my letters off as well to my network potentials, maybe. Let's see if they come back to me. But yeah, I want to try and really build that side of the business where we are reaching out to areas or industries which may not necessarily be directly related to what we do internally, but certainly we can offer assistance in helping them with achieving better outcomes with the people they work with. So yeah, hopefully this will be a success. It's only 9 letters that are going out so far. I reckon I need to send 500 to get some real traction on it, but that is next on my to-do list of how I can keep
getting myself out there more and more and more, so more people can see us and see what we're doing, and then come see us to get their help. Friday afternoon, I am back here at our Barnet clinic. I have been on home visits all morning and into the afternoon. Time now is 2:30. We are on site doing some filming for our new website, which is coming. So I'm just about to go and meet Monica and do some filming for a particular scene that we want on there to show the kind of technology that we're using in clinic to make sure that we get people better in the shortest period of time. Also had a really good conversation with our hopeful new accountants today. We recently switched to an accounting team, and unfortunately they've not been in line with what I was expecting. I did a fair bit of due diligence on them, and the outcome of the work they've done so far just hasn't quite been in line with what I was promised and what I was expecting. So this is actually a patient of mine I've been seeing, and we were talking about accounting and things like that, and they actually have their own accounting firm. So we are going to be switching over to them in the very near future. We're just trying to finalize a couple of things with our existing ones at the moment to work out what the best pathway is for us to take. But the exciting thing is that they're going to hopefully offer greater insight into how we can grow the business and provide access to things that we need in order to be bigger, better than where we are at the moment. So I'm really, really excited about being able to use them. And yeah, really pleased with the outcome of that meeting today. So yeah, I'm going to go and do some of the filming now and catch up with the rest of the team.
This up? Yeah, I'm just going to get closer to that. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at this.
Filming at the filmer.
Hello.
Friday afternoon, I am coming into the garden. We're just about to host the staff who work with us. One of our physios, Eleanor, is leaving us. She's going to Australia or Canada. She's going to one of them places, but it's far, far away. And we have everyone coming back here in about, just looking at the time, 20 minutes or so, they should be arriving. So we're just getting the house ready to host everyone. Saturday morning, I am at the top of my running route, just getting my breath back actually. This is what I'm jumping on now. We had our team social yesterday at our house. I did no filming. It was a really enjoyable evening. It was so good to see how many people we had turn up from the team. It was more or less the whole team. Those who weren't able to come already told us that they weren't going to come. So yeah, really, really enjoyable evening. Really happy with everyone who came. I think it's a big sign of who we are as a business at the moment, which makes me super, super proud, because they didn't have to come, and that, yeah, they chose to come because they obviously hopefully like the environment. They like Eleanor was leaving, which makes a difference, of course, for her for them to show up on her behalf. But yeah, it was super enjoyable. Today, I've got an interview at 10 o'clock on Teams it is, and then I've got an interview face-to-face in clinic for someone who's coming in regarding working with us on potentially like a joint ownership pathway. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. They've approached me to talk about it, so I'm going to listen to what they have to say and then determine if it's the right fit for us or not. But that's happening at 10:30 today. And then down to the residential project, see how they're getting on. They took the chimneys out yesterday, so I'm going to go down and see how that's all looking, catch up with the builder about what their plans are for next week and how that's all going to look. And then that'll bring me to the end of the week. So I'll let you know how the rest of today goes. I had two really good interviews today. One with a massage therapist. Always at the end of my screening round, I always put the ball in their court to determine if we're correct for them. As long as I believe that they're correct for us, I ask them to go and reflect and think about if we're the right place for them to come and work at. So hopefully we're going to hear back from that lady who would go into the next stage of the interview. I then had a meeting rather than an interview with someone who is interested in coming on board with us from a business perspective. And what that means is that they would actually have what I like to call skin in the game, and they would bring with them a unique set of skills with some finance as well behind them to back up their commitment to the project. And we had a meeting for about an hour and a half, just as a kind of initial, let's see how this might play out and how it might work. And for me, I was really happy with the realism that they were demonstrating towards
what it takes to grow a business from nothing up to a fully operational and fully scalable business, actually. And that's where their passion seems to exist at the moment. And so it's exciting for me to have other people coming in and exploring the possibility of working with us, or working with me particularly, on growing a brand new business. And it's certainly something that I'm going to look to be doing much more in the future. That is going to wrap up the weekly blog. That's the end of this week's stuff, and we will start up again next week.